Hey, I'm here at Gracie with my assistant Erkan Mete, and today we're going to talk about a concept that I think is really important to learn for your Jiu-Jitsu training. Okay, so you have to understand that there are a variety of guards, and they all serve different purposes. But for me, the number one thing to control in every conflict, every fight, I preach this all the time in my class, is distance. And really that's a guard's primary job, is it manages distance. You know, you're on your back, you're in an inferior position, but you have this mechanism to manage the distance, and that is your guard. So it's important to understand how to fight at the different distances. And for me, there are 4 distances of guards. You're going to fight a guard in each of these 4 distances. So if you want to be effective in your Jiu-Jitsu, you need to develop at least one guard in each of these distances. If you don't, you're basically completely defenseless in one of those ranges. So you don't have to have a million at each, but you should have one at each. If you can only fight in one range, it's pretty effective if your opponent can stay outside of that range or inside of that range. So if you're really good at like spider guard and the guy is inside your spider guard, you're really in a lot of trouble if that's the only thing you know. And so in the beginning you might learn closed guard. What you don't want to do is learn a bunch more guards at that same exact range. Okay, so the way I break the ranges down is the farthest ranges I just call far guard. Okay? Then there's a middle guard, there's close guard, and then there's deep guards. Okay? And really I emphasize learn one at each, at least one at each, and then later 2 at each, and then 3 at each. Okay? That way, no matter what the range he is in trying to pass, you have defense, you have offense. Okay? You're not just lost. Okay? Now obviously you want to have them fight at the range you prefer, okay? But you don't want to be lost in the ranges that you're not, that aren't your preferences. So let me explain what I consider sort of the mechanics of the 4. Okay? So for the far guard, really for me all it is he's in front of at least 1 foot. Okay? So this could be a spider guard here. Okay? It could be, can you just stand up please? It could be a daily hilo where my foot is on the hip. Okay? It could be a lasso guard here again where my foot is maybe on him. Okay. If I don't have a foot on him, I don't consider it a far guard. Okay. You're going to find this is one that you mostly play against standing opponents. That's right. This is a strong pushing guard. Okay. It's a good off-balancing guard because I do have the strength in my legs. For me, the weakness of it is you have to play it with grips. Okay. It's very hard to play holding on just to the wrist or in the back of the neck because he is very far away. At this point, he has a lot of leverage to break hold. But in the gi, you're going to see this a lot. Okay. Again, it's for me the weakness of it is that you have to have a strong grip. Okay. But again, you're keeping him the absolute furthest away, which gives you time because he has to move through the other 3 guards in order to pin you. Or to get close enough for some submissions. Okay. So again, the idea is there's a foot in the way. So if I was like this, I would actually consider this a far guard because he's dealing with the farthest structure, the farthest shield I have. Okay, so that's our far guard. Any of these kind of situations. Okay. The next is what I consider a middle guard. Okay, and that's anytime he's in front of my knees. Okay, some examples of this might be a knee shield, a butterfly, even for me, a lasso, because it's the shin that's really keeping him coming forward. Okay, the foot stops him going away, but it's mostly this. The strength of this guard for me is it's very easy, not very easy, but you can lift an opponent. And also my knees are very strong this way. So sometimes the weakness of the foot is he can push it side to side a little more effectively. For him to push my knees to the side, he has to use a lot more strength. And again, I'm in a situation where I can lift. And also foot locks, it's harder for him to grab a foot. I tend to play out here a little bit more, he might be able to start attacking the foot. So I have to be much more aware of controlling the arm if I get my feet out of place. This is the one I prefer. Okay? It's good for no gi because it's easier to wrap up, underhook, head control. Okay? The next guard I want to talk about is close guard. Okay? Now, the obvious one is closed guard. Here. Okay. The strength of this, and the reason that it's actually taught, I think, to beginners a lot, one is it's very effective for fighting because I can bring him in, I can defend punches. But more than that, with the other guards, the foot or the shin, he can back away if I'm not holding on to him. Okay, so I have to be more educated in the way that I use my hands or my arms to control him. Okay, and it's also he has much more mobility, so it can be more frenetic kind of situation, which for beginners can be a little confusing. When I do this, I don't have to use my hands. My legs are locking him from backing away, so if he tries to run away, it's hard. Obviously, he can use his hands to open my guard, but I don't have to be as active with my hands, which also means my hands can be more involved in attacking. Okay. The downside is it's easier for him to put more weight on me, so I don't have the strength of my legs kind of in the way. But I am controlling his hips more. So it's trade-offs. Another one might be traditional half guard. So knee shield half guard I would consider mid-range guard. This I would consider close range guard. He's completely past my knees, okay, and I've really locked him, so I've closed around him. Whereas all these other guards, I don't tend to be closed and wrapped around him, which again is why he can back away. Okay. The last one is a deep guard, okay, and that's where basically I'm completely underneath him. I'm basically the ground for him. So it might be something like this. Set this leg up. Another good deep half guard here, or let me just stand up. An X guard here. Okay. The strength of this guards obviously are I have a real power to unbalance him. Okay, so I'm acting as the ground. It's hard for him to keep his balance, which makes it hard for him to launch effectively attacks. It makes it easier for me to sweep him. Obviously, it's going to be harder if there's punches involved because I'm right underneath his power center. Okay, so it's also harder for me to get to my feet. Mid-range, I can get to my feet. Close range, I can stay tight to his upper body. Okay. If I'm here, it's easy for me to keep him so close he can't punch. Let me just back this way. No, let's go back this way. Yeah. It's easier for me to keep him close to where he can't punch me. When I'm here, it's a little harder because he can pull away much more. He can even lift his hips up and start really dealing with power now. But it's better. I can still use my arms to hold on to him. I can push and get up to my feet. When I'm here, this is going to be harder to deal with because I can't control him, keep his posture broken, so if he's punching, this is really a lot of trouble. Deep half or deep, X guard, there's no way I'm controlling his upper body except by unbalancing him. But I just want to go over kind of a primer of these 4 distances, which I think, again, you have to have at least one guard that you're proficient in each range. Master one range, whichever range you like, depending on what you're interested in, whether it's fighting, whether it's sport, whether it's self-defense. But don't be clueless in the other ranges. Play with it. If you're not comfortable playing with those ranges, get a guard in there, play with it until you at least have some proficiency there. And of course, conversely, if you want to be a good guard passer, you need to practice passing each of those 4 ranges. You don't have to master every guard, which I think a lot of people do. They try to get a Rolodex in their head. Just figure out what the mechanics of dealing with his foot, his knee, his hips, and being on top of him are, so that you don't have to memorize every specific guard. Again, I tend to pass in order, so if I'm dealing with a guard where it's a shin and a foot, I'm going to deal with the foot first and then deal with the shin, but whatever you find most effective. And hopefully this will help you, and again, I highly recommend doing this in your training. And thanks again to Erica.